Hi, I'm Dr. Ishai Moore from Israel. I'm going to talk to you about um, AI in higher education. And so I'm very happy to be here with you. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, perhaps next year. I work as a consultant, a senior consultant with various organizations in Israel, Meital, which is kind of a consortium that provides educational technology for the HE sector. I work with the Ministry of Education and with various institutions. So I'm sure you've all seen the Google Future of Education report. It came out actually about a year ago, but surprisingly, a lot of the issues there relate to what I see as the shifting landscapes related to AI. So if we're talking about the shift in the market space, clearly that shift in the market place is accentuated by the rise of AI, and with a lot of sort of less skilled jobs on the decline, and a need for more complex problem-solving skills, creative skills, and so on. The idea of personalized learning, again, this was a theory maybe a year ago, although we've seen a lot of applications, but now with again the advancement of AI, this is becoming more and more real. Finally, the changes in learning environments, the use of data, the ability to track student progress and change assessment. All of those trends which were identified before the sort of the current wave of AI, we were talking about 2022, are now even much stronger. And the predictions we had there about the shift in the attention or the time that teachers need to devote to different tasks is even stronger. So we should see teachers that are less working, spending less time in administration, less time in preparation, and have much more time to actual work with students and the human element of work with students. What's happening in Israel? So what we saw was first a sort of a total panic when suddenly ChatGPT appeared on the screen, and everybody was panicking about it. The initial reaction was, okay, now all our work is down the drain. Everything we've been doing for years is irrelevant. We'll have to go back to the drawing board. There is a big issue about plagiarism. If we give students a writing task, well, they just pass that test to ChatGPT, and there's absolutely no way we can identify it. In fact, there was a very short period where we saw the emergence of an industry of ChatGPT plagiarism detection. That's pretty much gone. And the last thing was, what is the role of a teacher? So now that we've all seen how you can use ChatGPT to teach you stuff. So if I want to learn Mandarin, I can just go and ask ChatGPT. Well, probably Duolingo would do a better job, but I can just use AI to teach me. So what is the role of the teacher? The second stage was when we learned that we can actually use, if our students are using AI, then we should use it too. So we can use GPT or other tools to generate lesson plans, to generate content, to generate exams, to generate quizzes. Instead of talking for 2 hours straight, I can talk for 10 minutes and then give my students a quiz, because I can use GPT to generate that quiz very easily. I can even use GPT to assess exam questions. I can use image generators to generate illustrations, although I haven't actually done much of that in this presentation. That's my personal preference, but many lecturers do it. I can use GPT to actually give feedback to written responses and questions and so on. So, and then we're now seeing a lot of institutions are developing staff or academic development programs around the use of AI. So this is just an example from a brochure for a workshop which is in Talpiot College, and it's about how can you write an exam and use AI to help you. So again, it's about using AI as a tool, and there's real thirst among educational practitioners to learn, if the students are using these tools, we should use them too. And a lot of institutions are running these workshops, again, across the different ranges and uses of GPT. The last step, which I think is we're just kind of starting to see it, is again the move to real partnership. So first of all, we're thinking about the skills and competencies that students will need in tomorrow's world, where in a world where they are working with AI hand to hand. How do we support students in acquiring these skills? How do we tackle the ethical issues of AI, both in our work and in the way we prepare our students? And here are some just kind of examples of assessment questions which already see AI as a partner. For instance, a lot of people give assessment tasks which ask students to conduct a conversation with a fictional character or historical character, using ChatGPT or similar to play that character, and they have to then just record the conversation, submit it as their assignment, or using ChatGPT and Elicit and other tools to do actual research, just like scientists use AI to support their research. Then we give students a research question which says, look, use ChatGPT to do your initial scoping, then use Elicit to do your in-depth review, finally identify some key papers, summarize them, and write a critical response to those papers, right? So really emulating the process that we as researchers use in our work. The other examples, I can generate text, and I can ask students to respond to that text to try and figure out if it's fake or real, if it was generated or it's actually written by a human. We're seeing in engineering, software engineering especially, since software engineers nowadays use Copilot to generate code, there's no point in telling engineering students not to. On the contrary, we need to give them engineer tasks or assignments that assume that they use GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT to generate code, and then they need to actually focus on the specification, the analysis, the problem analysis, problem solving, and the testing and of the code. So here's an example. One college, Cal College of Art, Design, and Engineering, made a strategic decision that every department right from this semester should have at least one course that incorporates AI. If it's fashion design, if it's graphic design, if it's software engineering, civic engineering, every department has at least one course that incorporates AI. Specifically, they have courses in prompt engineering in different departments based on the discipline of that department. And they're teaching students to use AI to support them in brainstorming, in generating materials from which they then collect. As Shezad Fefeli, the president of Shenkar, said, we now need to think about the fifth C. If you think about the 4 C's of 21st century skills, add curate. The skill to curate content is becoming a critical skill which we need to teach our students how to manage. Here's just one more a side example. We're seeing a sort of a flourishing in the EdTech scene in Israel around AI. This is just one example. This is a company that called Edge that is developing a chatbot or a virtual intelligent agent that mentors you. So this is kind of a personal agent that works with a student throughout the year, supporting them in developing their self-regulated learning skills, coaching them, encouraging them, making sure that they set goals and meet those goals. And this is, again, this is a product in the early stages of development. It's just starting pilots in several universities. Now, this is kind of some food for thought. So you can't really see the prompt, but I gave Stable Diffusion 2 prompts. One was Yishai Moore, the other was Dr. Yishai Moore. And you can see that Stable Diffusion clearly thinks that if you have a doctor before your name, you are male, right? So this is just a very perhaps amusing example of how AI models are still subject to biases, even though Stable Diffusion tried to correct it ethnic bias. So apparently it managed that, but still it has a gender bias, regarding academic success. And this brings us to the awareness of ethical issues of AI. These are issues that, as I said, we need to be aware of them, whether it's bias, whether it's credibility, privacy, transparency, and we need to be aware of them in our work. We need to make sure that our students are aware of these biases. This is ethical issues. This is something that definitely a lot of the institutions nowadays are thinking very hard about, how to set ethical guidelines, how to develop staff and student curricula that address what we would call AI literacy, or especially the ethical dimension of AI literacy. Last, let's talk about job security. A lot of teachers are sort of worried that they will be replaced by AI. Here, I always like to quote Arthur C. Clarke from 1970. He said, "Any teacher who is afraid to be replaced by a machine should be." And let's all remember that AI can summarize, synthesize, analyze text, but it can't understand subtext. AI can respond to students' problems and questions. It can't respond to their silence, to their confusion. AI can produce content or solutions if we give it a brief, if we give it a clear brief. It can't figure out what we want. So that's, I think that as long as you remember what is our role as a human, you don't have to be afraid about losing your job. In general, AI can get things done, but it doesn't care about what it does. Teachers care. And this is something to remember, that the core contribution, the core, the most important role of a teacher is that they care about their student. And this is something that's not going to go away. If anything, it gets more important. Thank you very much. Do you have my slides there in that funny URL or your QR code? And you're very welcome to call me or email me for any questions. It was a pleasure.